Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 4 of the Country Fried Nerds podcast. You're here with Greg, and as always, joining me, my co host, my brother Tommy.
Hello.
Last week we had a pretty roller coaster of a
Late,
show. It was long. It
lengthy.
was it was all over the place. So this week we're gonna try and laser focus a little better. But you know how we are. It
Yeah.
happens. We don't always stay on topic all the time.
Not even close.
So tonight we're going to talk about something that we've always enjoyed, something that always has worked as a kind of a pastime for us in certain ways. I mean, times that we had nothing else to do, it was always something to fall back on at least. And
Yeah.
that is the wonderful and wild world of professional wrestling. Um, so professional wrestling for us is something that kind of, I don't know, it kind of came around when we were young, but
Yeah.
we never really were interested in it until we got, a little bit older, old enough to see the violence and be like, oh shit, this is cool, you know.
Right.
Um, do you remember the very first exposure to wrestling that you ever had? Because I remember mine exactly.
Um. No, I don't.
So
It's a,
short of the few like little snippets of like some of the WCW stuff that I remember the old man watching, the very
mhm.
first thing I ever remember seeing as far as professional wrestling goes, we had Battle Bowl '93 on VHS,
Oh yeah.
and we watched the shit out of that.
Oh yeah. It was good.
It was such a weird event. It was like the lottery
It
draw tag
was.
team matches,
Right.
and then the winners went to a battle royal at the end.
Sting. Sting ended up. One of the last two were Sting and Vader.
Yeah, and
Surprise, surprise.
Vader won. Spoiler
Did
alert
Vader
from
win?
yeah, from 1993. There's
Hmm.
your spoiler.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Is that even a spoiler? It's over 20 years old now.
Right. Yeah.
Is it?
I think
Yeah.
we're pretty close to past the statute of limitations on that one, probably.
Mm.
But yeah, I remember that. I remember the very first match, which sticks out to me now just because of who was involved, and I didn't realize who was involved. But it had Cactus Jack in it, him and
Uh-huh.
Vader, and at the time they were embroiled in a feud. So you
Oh yeah.
got Vader and Harley Race coming down to the ring, yelling and cussing and screaming at
Oh
uh,
yeah.
Mick Foley, who was Cactus Jack at the time. And actually, that was a pretty good match, if I remember correctly.
I can't remember much about any of that. Like I remember I think Harley Race in a match.
Harley Race came down to the ring with Vader. He was Vader's
Oh
manager at the time.
no, not Harley Race. What is one of the Horsemen? What's that guy's name?
Arn Anderson.
Arn Anderson, but I think he was managing some white-haired pretty boy that wasn't Ric Flair. I don't know, man.
Uh, yeah, that was here. I can probably look it up.
Look up the match card.
Yeah, because that was a long time ago.
And the one match that stands out to me was the one with Johnny B. Bad.
Or Johnny B.
That one was
Good.
really. Was it Johnny B. Good?
Might have been Johnny B. Bad. I don't remember. But yes, I remember. He was
He
very
was
good.
really good. I don't
He
know.
he stood out. There was a Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was in a match that stood out pretty good too.
Yeah.
Oh, so
The
apparently
road the Road Warriors.
Battle Bowl '93 was like the first time that they did the standalone Battle Bowl. Like every other time it
Oh yeah.
was, yeah, it was part of a show. It was part of Halloween Havoc, I think.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
All right, so you got Vader and Cactus Jack with Harley Race. You
Yep.
had Brian Knobs and Johnny B. Bad.
Mhm.
Brian Knobs was part of the Nasty Boys.
Yeah, that's right. You fucking psychotic bitches.
Oh wow, there's a lot of people part of this. Paul
Oh
Orndorff.
yeah,
Paul Orndorff's who you're
that's who I
thinking
was
about.
thinking of.
Yeah. So
Orndorff.
on this match card that I'm seeing right here, you had
Mm-hmm.
Vader, Cactus Jack, Steven Regal, who is William Regal,
Yeah,
Dustin Rhodes,
yeah,
Sting, Ron Simmons, Ric Flair, Steve Austin, Rick
yeah,
Rude, Buff Bagwell, Road Warrior Hawk, and Davey Boy Smith.
yeah.
That's a hell
That's
of
a
a fucking
stacked lineup.
right for.
Ricky the Dragon was on there. You mentioned him.
Oh yeah, Ricky Steamboat. I looked right past him. Shockmaster was part of it too, which he hadn't been much.
Who's Shockmaster?
He was.
I know that name.
Oh, I don't remember who he is. Otherwise, that's Tugboat. He was Tugboat and Typhoon before he was
Oh, right.
before he was Shockmaster. I remember Shockmaster because they had him in like the fuck Stormtrooper helmet, the bedazzled Stormtrooper
Oh
helmet,
yeah,
and they had him bust
yeah,
through the fucking wall and he fell. That's what I remember.
yeah.
Poor guy, never stood a chance.
But
So the
after
total,
that,
the longest match other than the actual battle royale was Ric Flair
yeah,
and Steve Austin versus Two Cold Scorpio and Max Payne coming in at 1450.
damn, they were shooting out those matches.
Yeah, the
Well,
the battle royale was only 25-33.
yeah. I guess it makes sense. Can exhaust your superstars
I mean, yeah,
before a
and they were
big
wrestling.
thing.
They were wrestling 2 matches. Like the Vader Cactus Jack match was only 7 minutes long.
Oh yeah,
The Dustin Rhodes match that had King Kong in it was only
I remember that. Yeah,
only 5 minutes long.
but moving on from that, because we didn't really fuck with WCW very much.
No, not really.
We really didn't mess with, like, in the chronological order in which we watched. I remember catching like the end of the Eric Bischoff general manager run on Raw, and that's like the earliest thing I really remember.
We watched a little bit of it before the end,
Yeah,
but not a whole lot. I don't know.
was that the same stuff with the Spirit Squad and all that shit?
That was a little bit later, but yeah, same basic. Well, so with Eric Bischoff, he came in right after WCW got bought up. Like not right after, like a few years after.
Yeah, and he was a heel. He was a villain.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. He, I don't know. Those years are kind of fuzzy because they weren't
We didn't watch consistently.
right. Like we were catching it whenever we could, and like I don't know, we didn't really get into it until we started playing the wrestling video games, I guess.
Yeah,
And that was when we started watching a little bit more. I remember we had a best of WrestleMania video that we used to watch religiously.
I love that.
That was a good ass
It's
video,
so good.
right? Fucking best moments from 1 to 14
I mean, now though, we've watched most of those WrestleManias
in their
in their
entirety.
entirety.
Absolutely. I think the only one I didn't watch was probably the first one.
Yeah,
I remember 3.
that was Hogan and Andre, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Hmm.
WrestleMania 3 was the one that they triple cast. They had it set up in 3 different cities. That was crazy.
Yeah.
That's never happened again since then. I can imagine
That
why.
was logistical train wreck.
I don't know. We never really watched any pay-per-views I remember the only pay-per-view we actually ever ordered was the Survivor
First
Series.
Elimination Chamber.
Yep, that was the first one we ever ordered. The
Yeah.
fucking Survivor Series. And
And it was good.
Yep, the Elimination Chamber was awesome. The end of the match was fucking fantastic. It was exactly what we
Don't remember the end. Was it Shawn Michaels?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Shawn Michaels.
Yeah. He won the championship. That was right after he came back.
Yeah.
That was after his run against Triple H.
And
which might I add was one of the best runs in my opinion, because like the start of it, them starting and the whole DX thing and the betrayal with the DX thing and the sledgehammer, everything from that on was fucking awesome. Like,
oh yeah,
Shawn Michaels and Triple H work so well together because they're both like gurus at the business. Like, they're the best at I mean, they're some of the best in the game for sure.
Oh, absolutely. So, moving on from that though, talking about things we've seen or whatever, but who is your favorite wrestler? Start with that.
Shawn Michaels, straight up, 100%. Absolutely. I love just his, I don't know, the way he carried himself and the way he wrestled and how, I don't know, how professional he made it look and how much he sold everything was what really got me for him. Who you say?
I don't know if I have a favorite. I have a couple favorites. Triple H is one.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's one of the best in the world.
Without a doubt.
Which, I mean, that's probably an unpopular opinion, but I don't care. Triple H, Undertaker was super good.
Yeah, Undertaker's in a category of his own. Like
AJ Styles.
AJ is probably one of my favorite people to come out of non-WWE fame, for sure.
Absolutely.
Like, without a doubt. His early TNA stuff, back when it was still Total Nonstop Action, when it was still TNA Impact.
Yeah.
When the X Division was still a thing and he was fucking feuding with Samoa Joe. The Samoa Joe feuds were some of the best feuds I've ever seen. Because them two boys beat the holy high hell out of each other.
Yeah. They're both really good. Samoa Joe, I think he keeps getting, like, recently, he either keeps getting hurt or keeps hurting people. I can't remember.
He keeps getting hurt. He's been at the announce desk.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, he's been at the announce desk for months.
Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
I don't know. They never used Samoa Joe the way they could have anyway. Like,
no, he's a headliner.
Right. Like,
he's a main dude.
Right. He's got the potential to fucking do things. And
that's where he thrives, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I just wish they would look and see the fact that they've got both him and AJ Styles in the same promotion and fucking let them run with it. Give them all the money and let them run with it, because it would be insane.
Okay, so we've covered favorites. Who's a couple of your least favorite? I got a couple that are super unpopular.
Who you got?
CM Punk.
Mm-hmm. Fuck CM Punk. And it's not even because of how he was to the business or how he is to the business or anything. He just was not that impressive to me.
I never thought so.
Like, he had a really generic moveset, and like, I don't know. You can look at 5 wrestlers now that share half a moveset with him, you know?
Right. And it was just, I don't know, there was nothing memorable about him to me.
And it might have been...
He started on, ECW?
Right, yeah.
Being the straight edge guy. And,
yeah.
I don't know, it was weird. Maybe it was all just in the writing, though.
Right, and that's the other thing I was about to say, is we missed a lot of the story parts of that stuff. Like, we you know, so it might have been in the writing and stuff, but I don't ever really know.
Another one of my least favorites. Big Show.
Big
You
Show
can't
is
book.
Big
You can't
Show.
book somebody that big, man.
Right. Big Show is great. Big Show is great now for the business because he's been in it so long and he knows so much about it. But
Right. As a
booking
wrestler, though.
right, booking somebody that big is really hard
Right, because the
because
only way it's believable is if he's the world champion or nothing. You know what
right.
I mean?
And the only like it's easy to book somebody that big with people that are also that big. Like booking him with Kane and Undertaker are
Right,
great.
but even them, they're
I,
not even nowhere near as big as he
no,
is.
they're just as tall as he is.
Yeah.
For a small guy, you have to build that so much that it's almost not worth it.
I agree.
You know what I'm saying? Because like with an underdog, I mean, when you're 7 feet tall and 500 pounds, everybody's an underdog.
Yeah.
And like obviously there's theatrics to it and whatever, but just as far as it's just really hard to book somebody that big against somebody that's a quarter their size and make it believable.
Yeah.
I don't know. He, like I said, he's really good for the business. He's a really good spectacle. Like he's really good.
Yeah.
He's really good to
He,
drop into something for a little star power, a little shock factor. But
all they use him for now is to get other people over, though.
I mean, yeah. But I mean,
I feel like.
if you're a big dude trying to get over, what better way to get over than beating the
Right.
biggest dude in the
I
game?
mean, that's what I was going to say. It works. That works perfectly.
I mean, they let Braun Strowman throw him through a fucking steel cage.
Yeah.
Which was.
And then took Braun Strowman's character nowhere.
Straight to the toilet, which is really sad because he's got potential.
He does.
Look, honestly, I know we don't
Brock
really.
Lesnar's another hate one.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead.
I
just really wanted to get that out there.
I was gonna say we don't know much about new wrestling, but if you ever get the chance, you should look into The Fiend and what they're doing with Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss right now because it's a really good fucking storyline.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really fucking cool. But they have Bray feuding with Randy Orton, and it's a really good feud. But Brock Lesnar, yes, I always hated Brock Lesnar because I hate Paul Heyman with a goddamn passion. I hate his voice.
Right.
I hate him so much, and him being Brock Lesnar's mouthpiece fucked it for me. I don't know. Brock Lesnar was never really that impressive. Like, he was a little impressive when he was young just because he was so cut and so fucking, he was an impressive-looking specimen, but he wasn't.
Well, I heard Undertaker on an interview. I think it was the Hot Ones. You know, that fucking where they eat spicy wings or whatever.
Yeah.
He said that Brock Lesnar was the most athletically impressive person he's ever seen.
I mean,
that makes sense.
I could see it as good and as in good a shape as he was, and he was like a very accomplished amateur wrestler at like the collegiate level. He was like a AAA champion or whatever the biggest championship you can get in collegiate wrestling is.
Yeah.
But they also had a former Olympic gold medalist on their roster. So like, I mean, even huge collegiate stuff is kind of unimpressive and pale in comparison to Olympic gold. Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar was just too big and couldn't talk.
That's why they gave him Heyman, though.
Yeah, but man, fuck Heyman. Paul Heyman's ugh. It's one of those voices, man. It's just like nails on a chalkboard to me.
I agree. All right, so who do you consider the greatest of all time?
There's a few.
If you had to pick, like, I don't know, 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Mount Rushmore. Mount Rushmore.
Is that 4?
Yeah, 4.
Okay.
All right. Shawn Michaels is up there without a doubt, just as an overall superstar for me. Undertaker's up there because nobody did more for the business than Undertaker, I don't think. Like as far as keeping things alive and keeping kayfabe alive, and like he was just very respectful of the business the whole time.
Right.
I kind of probably would have to put Mick Foley up there. because if
That's fair.
if anybody's given more to the business than him, I've never seen them.
I agree.
And then I don't know, probably I want to say Stone Cold, but Stone Cold, I mean, he I don't know. Don't get me wrong. Stone Cold is probably one of the best things that ever came out of wrestling, but
Absolutely.
his was more attitude than technical prowess and like being super impressive in the ring and stuff. He was just the guy that kind of came in and stomped a mud hole and went home, and it worked.
Right.
I don't know. As far as technicality goes, I could probably give it to like Ric Flair or somebody.
Yeah.
I don't know. Out of just for straight up like though, I'd say my fourth spot would probably be Triple H, just because.
Damn. He's on mine too. Yeah. My Mount Rushmore is Triple H because he's my favorite. I always like the way he's been booked and portrayed. And anybody that's personal friends with Lemmy Kilmister, he's
Right.
alright in my book.
Gotta be an alright dude. I agree.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. Undertaker has to be up there.
Yeah. That's
just
one.
because he did so much for the actual company itself.
I mean, yeah, he carried the company for a while.
He did.
Oh, I forgot.
Stone Cold is up there because, and I know you said no on yours, but because he changed the way people did promos.
Without a doubt. Because up to that point, they were pretty well coaxed, really, because they were done in an interview fashion.
Right.
Like
he changed the way everything outside of the ring to progress the storyline was done. Like everything was different.
Right. Up until that point, you really had people like Vince McMahon going into the ring between matches whenever he was at the announce table to interview people, or Michael P.S. Hayes interviewing people, and they always kind of fed people stuff, and then they gave fucking Stone Cold the Austin 316 at King of the Ring, and that changed it. That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
And my last one, it's kind of a difficult one because there's really two that I can think of, but my last one is John Cena, and I know it's cool to hate on him or whatever. I can understand because his gimmick got old real quick. He was the golden boy, blah blah blah. But just John Cena based on technical prowess. Out of all of the ones I just named, he might actually be the best performer out of all of them. Yeah, he's precise and I don't know, man. His in-ring ability, no matter what you think about him, or his gimmick, or anything about him personally, his in-ring ability puts him as one of the greats, I think. Right. 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 I don't know. I know it's weird to make a Mount Rushmore for us because we noticed we didn't really include any like older wrestlers because I don't really know much about any of the old ones. And the old style was just kind of boring to me. Yeah. How much did I mess up? No. Technical difficulties. Dumb shit unplugged this fucking mic. What was I saying though? Oh yeah, John Cena. He's just one of the best due to in-ring abilities. He's I don't like his gimmick any more than anybody else did, really. But now, the way he's set up now, I don't even know if he's still wrestling now or whatever. But whenever I was watching recent stuff, like I don't know, a couple years ago, he the way he like embraced the hate on him, I really like that because it was a different kind of angle that you never really see. I don't know, it just struck me as unique, and I like that. I had another honorable mention for my Mount Rushmore, but I can't remember who it was. Hmm. Hmm. What's wrong? Hmm. Stop the recording.
All right,
Good?
folks. Yep. I'm sorry. I was having technical difficulties, but I got it figured out. Anyway, talking about John Cena, going back to it. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, his gimmick got really old. Like all of his gimmicks got really old, really quick.
Oh, super fast.
Like the Doctor of Thugonomics thing died really fast because he just didn't have the credibility to keep doing that.
Right.
And then he put out the Marine, so he did the whole patriotic thing,
Yeah.
and that lasted a good little while. But it kind of, I don't know, that kind of just became backdrop for him, I guess, because there was only so much you
Hmm.
could do with it.
I remember my honorable mention now. I don't know how I could forget, but The Rock.
The Rock's a big one. The Rock was one of the first like widely loved wrestlers
Well, and
by
I'd put
but
him on
go ahead.
cold on there because of the way he did promos and all the in between match kind of things. It was really the source of his entertainment for me.
Well, yeah, and that's
Like
I don't know. Don't get me wrong. The Rock was a hell of an in-ring performer,
on
but
him, he's one of the best, obviously, easily.
he was so bright outside the ring. Like they, especially whenever Stone Cold and The Rock worked together, they knew how to sell a storyline.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um,
And I really, Vince McMahon kind of has to be up there
I mean, yeah, you can't
because
look
he
past.
could sell a storyline like a motherfucker.
Yeah, you can't look past Vince McMahon, as crazy and as rough as he is on the business, because he's very old school, and it's kind of hurting the business sometimes with him. You can't look past him
Yeah.
because nobody is in better place to sell the gravity of the storyline than the guy that owns the fucking company. You
Right.
know? Like, especially when it's a feud with corporate or something like that. Like the corporate era with Stone Cold and Vince McMahon. Fucking beautiful.
Oh yeah.
That leads me to another
Another
honorable
one.
mention.
Oh, go ahead.
Kane.
See, Kane's a weird story for me. I didn't up until he took off his mask. I didn't really like Kane.
He was very,
He was
I don't know.
he was just a counterpart to Undertaker.
Right. He was really flat at first.
Yeah.
And then people started being impressed with him because, let's be honest, he's a pretty impressive guy. Like he can move, and like he's a big dude, and he's
Yeah.
strong as all hell. Like he really is.
Oh yeah.
And that was always a big sell for me, was that he was so big, but he could move the way he did. Like you saw Undertaker do old school every once in a while, but Kane was like jumping off the top rope, flying, clotheslining people, and combat rolling out of it and shit, you know.
Right.
And he's 6'11", weighs fucking 315, 320 at all the time.
Right.
I don't know, Glenn Jacobs. I have immense love for that man and everything he does because he's such a. I don't know. He's always struck me as a very genuine person. Like even in the ring and stuff. Like I don't know. I always liked him.
I feel
Um,
it.
he got paired with really good people too most of the time. Like and
Yeah.
even like his joke, uh, tag teams, like when he did with the Hurricane, that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like
It
that was
was good.
that reminds me of another one that we have to talk about that a lot of people don't understand when I say it, but you have to give him credit. Motherfucking Gold
Mm.
Dust.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
He he
you
really challenged a lot of things.
you got to give Dustin Rhodes credit, man, because I don't know if he came up with the Gold Dust gimmick or if Vince gave him the Gold Dust gimmick, but he took that motherfucker and ran with it for 20 years. You know, and like at
Yeah.
first, yeah, it was crazy. It was insane. It was weird. They were challenging social norms, blah, blah, blah. It was all for
Came out in
shock.
the fucking 90s.
Right, it was all for
Awful
shock.
brave.
Right, it was for shock value. He was fucking dressing in drag, and his wife was smoking a big cigar coming out to the ring with him. But
Yeah.
as far as making the best of a situation, he was definitely probably one of the best to do that.
We missed one of my least favorites that I just thought of.
Who that?
JBL.
Hey, look, you know what? That was the first one I thought of whenever you ask that question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know.
I just,
Like APA Bradshaw was pretty cool. I never really. I don't know. I mean,
he never he never had the ability to back up how cocky he was about everything.
right. And the thing is, like, he's an honest to god tough guy. Like he you know he'll hurt you. I just never thought he
Right?
was. I never thought he was that good in the ring.
I never did either.
And that's the thing for me. Like, it's professional wrestling, bro. You got to be at least semi-impressive in the ring. I don't give a fuck how good you can talk. If you can talk a big game and then go in there and look like a baby deer, I don't give a fuck about you.
Right? There's gonna be something to back it up somewhere.
Right. Oh, Tommy's
But
doing the dishes.
I'm just putting my plate away and getting something to drink. But I really want to talk about just the WWE in general and how they did a lot of people dirty.
So shitty, bro.
And the one example that comes to my mind specifically was Spike Dudley. Remember him?
Yeah, I do.
He got done pretty dirty.
Elaborate.
I mean, when they put him in the Dudley Boys, right?
Right.
He wasn't there long. Because, I mean, Devon and Bubba Ray,
They didn't need anybody.
they're good.
Right, they didn't
No,
need
no.
anybody.
Right? Like, I don't know why he was stuck with them. Maybe they knew him or something.
I think that's what it was. I think he came out of Philly, out of their area, and they
I'm
just
trying
kind
to,
of
like, break him in,
right.
I guess.
So remind me after you finish this to tell you the story that I read about Devon Dudley the other day.
Okay. I don't know. It just seemed like he never was even given a decent opportunity to be something other than a joke and
Other
like
than
a jobber.
right, other than Spike Dudley, other than the Dudley boy
Right.
that got put through tables.
Right. And then he ended up getting hurt really bad because people were just careless with him because he was so little. People think they can just throw him. But he got hurt. I think he got hurt super bad and put him out.
I don't know.
I don't really know, but I remember like him being thrown over the fucking top rope and his feet catching, and he landed right on his fucking neck.
I mean, yeah, that probably happened. For real.
No, that did happen. I just don't know if that was a career ender or not.
So anyway, speaking on the Dudleys, so Devon Dudley, about 6 months ago, a bunch of tabloid places reported that he was suffering of terrible mental or not mental issues, but health issues.
Yeah.
and basically made it out to sound like he was dying. And
Yeah.
so nothing got said about it after it was initially reported for a couple of days, and then he comes back and he's like, "Dude, what the fuck is going on? I had
Right.
I had a basic procedure and nothing major, and I'm apparently dying." So he was all hot and upset about that, and then nothing ever really said anything about it. But the other day I was reading, and he was doing this interview, and he was like, I tried to tell these dirt sheets that I was coming out of the closet, that I was gay, that I was getting divorced, blah, blah, blah. But they didn't want to print any of that shit. They didn't want to print the fact that I was telling, the way he put it, I was telling the truth.
Wait,
Instead,
was he gay? Is he
no,
gay?
no, he's not. He's got 2
Oh,
sons,
okay.
and yeah, but he was
Yeah, I
just
was gonna say, I
he
thought he had kids.
right. He was just making the point that they're more apt to
Right,
report
right,
on
right.
somebody about to die than they are somebody,
Right.
telling the world who they are. Which, I mean, I thought was kind of cool. Whatever. But yeah, a lot of people now, especially, really hate dirt sheets because one, they give away a lot of stuff, and they kind of ruin the
I don't even.
mysticism of the business, so to speak.
Right. Well, I mean, that's been on the edge a lot recently.
I mean, yeah, the internet really, really did that,
Social media.
especially,
I don't know if
absolutely.
I don't know if social media was the cause,
But
but
it
when social
amplified
media
it,
started getting bigger, that's when I started noticing changes in it.
right?
So I don't know if there's a correlation there or not, but it's about the same time frame.
I mean, just speaking on the Dudleys themselves, man, you gotta give them a hell of a credit.
Yeah.
They came in when WWE needed something to pull it out of the the end of the Attitude Era, the failed WCW stuff,
Yeah.
and they came in. Edge Christian came in, the Hardys came in, and changed the landscape like they really did.
Yep.
Because up to that point, it was all pretty. I mean, you had steel cages and you had the Hell in the Cell and you had ladder matches, but you didn't have people jumping off 15-foot ladders through tables and people, jumping off
Right.
ladders onto another ladder or flipping over you just didn't have that stuff. You didn't have a guy hanging 15 feet above the ring, holding on to title belts, getting speared in midair like that.
Right.
They really changed the game as far as what was acceptable in ring, so to speak, or what was the norm in ring.
Yeah. I agree.
Because you had ECW at the time, they were just beating the hell out of each other though. Like they like I don't know.
I don't know much about ECW's early days.
I have a really hard time accepting the legitimacy of ECW.
Why?
Because so much dumb, fucked up shit happened in their early days. Like,
Yeah.
New Jack almost killed a couple of people. Like, he stabbed a dude during a match. He almost killed a 17-year-old kid during a match because the kid lied and told him that he had been trained by Killer Kowalski and wasn't. And
he beat the shit out of some old man in the ring.
Like, yeah, it was
I
just.
remember that.
That dude was just crazy. And, I don't know. It seemed to me.
Pretty sure he's in jail now.
It seemed to me they were violent for the sake of violence. And, there was no real writing to it. And I guess it's coming out of Philly. They're rough. Or the perception is that they're rough as fuck up there. And that's what sold. I just didn't.
Right.
I never cared for it. I liked Sabu. Sabu was pretty cool. He was insane. He was the first wrestler I remember seeing and being like, God damn, that dude's crazy.
Right.
I always liked RVD. RVD was always cool.
RVD was super underrated, I feel like.
Yeah, RVD's a hell of a fucking... See, he's like an
he
actual...
He was good, as he was.
You know what stopped his career?
What?
Pot stopped his career. Because that
sounds about right.
That's what lost him his first big push with the WWE. Is he failed a bunch of fucking pot drug tests and they canceled his push.
Shit. That sounds about right though.
Right. And now fucking they're all I don't know, that was always weird to me too. Like, they didn't give a fuck if you juiced yourself up with roids to make yourself bigger and stronger, and But
right.
if
I'm
you were
pretty sure
getting
that was probably encouraged at some point.
right, but if you were getting, I mean, yeah, Vince McMahon had to go before a Senate hearing over some steroids at one point.
Yeah.
But if you were smoking pot before a match, you couldn't do it.
I don't know. I kind of understand it.
I mean,
Some
yeah,
of the things RVD did
he needed to be
could
on
be
point
really
for
dangerous
right. I mean, yeah, when you're
to
rolling
himself mostly.
right, when you're rolling the way he was rolling and doing the jumps and the flips and the shit, yeah, if you ain't right on point, you gonna fuck yourself up.
I have another talking point I want to bring up.
What's that?
It's just a random thing, but the entrance music and performances are something that always really did me. Like I liked them.
Oh,
I don't know.
absolutely.
I like the crazy stuff. Like seeing Rey Mysterio jump out of that cage for the first time, popping up.
Just come flying out of the fucking floor. Yeah, that was
Yeah,
the coolest
that's
shit
really
ever.
cool.
And like
But
Sting coming down
yeah,
from the rafters, and Shawn Michaels
yeah,
riding in from on the zip line at Mania. That was like one of the.
yeah.
But then you had like all of Triple H's super awesome fucking intros.
Right. All those big WrestleMania ones.
And then any intro the Undertaker ever made ever was fucking
Yeah.
fantastic. Like that. He was always a showstopper, man.
Oh yeah.
And like I always loved that. I don't know. They did a really good job of picking music that popped for people. Because
Right.
like to this day, you hear that glass shatter, and the roof blows off. Or you hear that it's time to play the game, and
Right.
everything goes insane. Like the only one that I really dislike, and I wish that he had better music, was Shawn Michaels, because like I don't know, his
No.
his song his entrance just felt really dated to me.
Yeah. Well, I mean that brings me to my next point, which is how the fuck is Jim Johnston not in the Hall of Fame yet?
I think they split ugly, is what happened.
Really?
I think so.
Because he did so much for them, bro.
Oh yeah, he did most of their entrances for the first like 20 years. Like,
oh yeah, and he wrote like the pay-per-view music and
right,
all kinds of shit.
right, and he was
I don't know,
really
I feel
good,
like he should be in the Hall of Fame.
without a doubt, or like at least some kind of special award or something. Like, come the fuck on.
Right. I don't know, but my question with all this was, what is your favorite entrance
Ooh.
that you can think of?
Like individual entrance or just overall, like entrance to an event, or like just somebody's entrance
like
overall.
Somebody's entrance. Because I know one of mine, two of mine actually.
Who?
They're actually newer. It was Shinsuke.
Oh, dude, his song,
That's his name.
Shinsuke Nakamura.
And yes. And what was her name? She was undefeated for a long time. Asuka. Yes. I loved their entrances because I mean we really started watching whenever they first came in.
Yeah.
Again, and then we stopped again shortly after. But whenever they first came in, is whenever we really started watching them.
Right. We watched
up to date stuff.
I think we watched Mania 35 when the Hardys came back, and then they came in like the Monday after. Because that's peak time to call people up is right after Mania, because your year starts over then. Which you gotta give them credit, man. That's a hell of a formula. It really works.
Oh yeah, it works every time.
I always liked Kane's entrance. Can't lie, the explosions, the fire, like that was always awesome to me.
It was real intimidating.
Right, like anytime that the fire went off and the white lights went red, and you were like, "Oh shit, that's fucking
right.
Kane's coming. Something bad's about to happen."
Right.
I always liked Edge's because you hear the whisper and then the guitar kicks in and it just everything explodes and it's fucking insane. Everybody just pops.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too. Like I like Edge's because the song's really good too. Like the actual song, it's really good.
Yeah. I like Finn Balor's entrance. At least the one I saw.
He's
It was
probably
really good.
at that point he's probably my favorite entrance in the game.
Yeah.
Because he
The
had
music was good.
right and the
The crowd
theatrics.
always reacted so well to
They
it.
reacted exactly the way that they should have reacted. You know?
Exactly the way that they were anticipated to react.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know. It was just a whole feeling.
As far as like, for me personally, as far as like nostalgia and stuff goes, DX's entrance will always hold a special place in my heart.
Oh yeah, that's really good. Anytime, I mean, anything with DX, really, I'm a sucker for. Their promos were
Dude,
amazing.
they could sell toilet paper. They were gold on
Oh,
screen
absolutely.
anytime they got together. Especially like originally they were real serious, and like it worked because it was I mean Shawn Michaels was the champion at the time, and they had Rick Rude, and like they were just super serious when China was there, and then they brought in like X-Pac and New Age Outlaws. And then they started getting funny, and then they started fucking with shit, and then it got real funny, and that's where they really thrived.
Yeah.
Like their run with Vince and the Spirit Squad was fucking gold.
That's one of my favorite memories of
Mine
wrestling,
too.
honestly.
Solid gold. Like
Because I mean, you got Shawn Michaels and Triple H, two of these like veteran type guys, against all these five just young fucking
male
yuppies,
cheerleaders,
basically, right? Which really probably ruined all those guys' careers. Let's be honest.
I mean, not
But
except Dolph Ziggler.
was he? Oh yeah, he was in there, wasn't he?
Yeah. Kenny Dykstra was in there too, but he didn't last long after Spirit Squad broke up.
Isn't that Kenny Omega? Isn't that the same guy?
No.
No. That dude was in something else though.
He was in TNA for a while, I think. Kenny Dykstra.
Was he?
I think so.
I don't know.
But yeah, they're like they were so funny because they could plug merch and be hilarious about it.
Right.
Like that was their thing. They were just good at it. And like one of my most vivid memories is the episode where they take over the production truck, and before they go in there,
Oh my god.
the fucking there's Triple H and I think Maria or somebody are standing at a table, and it's implied that they're getting Triple H is getting blown, and Maria whatever is being otherwise taken care of. And I don't know, just something about the whole thing. It was just fucking hilarious. And like at the end of it, after all's said and done, you got Shawn Michaels popping out of this truck, holding on to the door, like, "Hey, Triple H, come here." Like just the comic relief. Like that was always fucking hilarious to me.
Anytime Shawn Michaels acted like a child.
Oh, it was fucking
funny.
solid gold. Solid gold. He was so funny, and their timing together was so funny, and it just worked. And that's
I don't know. It's good stuff though.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
I mean, DX carried a lot of WWE during the Monday Night Wars. Like they helped carry them a lot. Like rolling up to the WCW event on the tank. Like that's a moment that everybody knows, even if they don't watch wrestling. For good reason, because that's one of those moments that you see and you're like, holy shit, that was insane. When you really think about it, right? Because like they didn't give a fuck.
Nah.
But I mean,
nowadays that'd be like a terrorist attack. You know what I mean?
Like, right. Like
it would never be allowed.
No, absolutely not. But I mean, to be fair, not too many years before that, or not too many months before that, I don't really remember the timeline. WCW fired the first shot by telling everybody that Mick Foley was winning the world championship, and then they basically put the nail in their coffin after that, because after they did that, they never beat WWE again in ratings. 6 million people simultaneously changed their channel when that happened.
Yeah.
You know, that was insane. And that was a real low thing, man. Like, that was... You... Like, Mick Foley, of all people. Why would you do that to him? He gave you some good-ass years in the business, too, you know?
Right. Some of his best.
Mm-hmm. Some of his healthiest, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. That crazy motherfucker.
I don't know, man. You can't discount Mick Foley toward the end of his career, though, because he... I don't know. He was just good. He wasn't ever particularly, like, impressive as far as technicality went, but he could play a character like a son of a bitch, and sometimes 3 characters at once.
He could sell.
Yeah, sold like a motherfucker.
That's another thing I really love about wrestling
Is
is
somebody that can sell.
selling.
Yeah. The clip of Triple H selling the same move for like 12 seconds is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my entire life.
I love it, man.
Because
it's
like
just so good.
Shawn Michaels is on the corner trying to like blow him over and shit. And it's just the whole timing of it's fucking hilarious. And like,
I didn't realize this, but do you remember the Hogan and Shawn Michaels match?
Yeah.
That was like, apparently, that was like a big disrespectful thing that Shawn Michaels did, overselling all of his moves in that match.
I mean, to be fair, Hulk Hogan uses like the hokiest moveset ever.
Yeah. Well, and it was Shawn did it because he was like frustrated with like some behind the scenes shit. Like, I think Hogan like decided he wanted to do something else at the very last minute.
Yeah,
he was just being a prima donna.
Right, that's what it was. He came in and started throwing his dick around, and Shawn got upset about it.
Right. So he just oversold everything, like to the extreme. It was just a bizarre experience, but it was entertaining.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like you can kind of get away with it with Hulk Hogan just because he's seen as such a superhero in wrestling for some reason.
Well, he was.
Well, yeah. Now he's a racist prick, which we kind of already all knew, but whatever.
Right. He gave me that vibe for sure.
I don't know. I never really liked Hulk Hogan. His character was annoying.
He falls into that old school type strong style wrestling that I don't really care for.
Right. I'm just 2 big fucking mountains of a man beating the hell out of each other.
Right, that doesn't really impress me very much. I don't know. I guess we grew up in a different respect for different things.
Right, that's the other thing too. Like, I don't know. We stopped watching wrestling for storyline a long time ago. You know?
Yeah.
Like I was always
storyline's kind of inconsequential.
Right. I was always more interested in how they were doing what they were doing inside the ring.
Right. The technicality of it and the actual physicality, the athletic ability.
And like what it took to do what they did, and like
because some of that shit's like impressive.
Yeah, it is. When you really sit down and look at it, it's impressive as fuck.
I mean, because it's all staged and whatever, but
not really.
Like it's still a physical thing that they're doing.
Right, and these dudes are actually taking a lot of hits and punches and kicks and knocks and beats and like taking bumps like a son of a bitch. Like it's not as staged as people think it is.
There are some nasty bumps. Ugh, some of them make my fucking stomach turn.
Right, me and Tommy have seen bumps that it does. It turns your fucking... It tingles your spine because you know they got hurt.
Brock Lesnar doing that shooting star press.
Oh my god, that is so awful.
Did he break his neck?
Yeah, his neck. Yeah. His head was swelling up and shit. Like, it was bad.
Yeah, it was bad. I'd still finish the match.
Yeah.
Like, I don't...
Barely. He crawled over and fucking got the pin off.
He did.
Or no, he might have even gotten... He might have gotten a couple of moves off after that. I don't really remember.
He did. I'm pretty sure he did.
Some Germans or something.
For a little bit.
Yeah.
I think an audible was called in that one.
Yeah. Owen Hart dropping Stone Cold on his head. That one's an ugly one too.
Oh, that's rough.
Cause like when
That one.
you see it from a certain angle, you can see his head just fucking crumble against the
Ugh,
mat, and that's just awful. And you can see how
ugh.
he literally can't move for the first like 6 or 7 seconds after it happens.
Oh God, that's so horrible. Another one that comes to mind is Joey Mercury getting that face
Oh
full of
my
ladder.
god, fucked his shit up, bro.
That one was rough, man. Fuck.
And like you gotta give him credit because he still finished. He was fucked up,
Yeah.
tore up from the floor up because of it.
Oh yeah.
But he finished.
That was bad.
More recent, Seth Rollins breaking John Cena's nose. That was ugly.
Yeah, that was ugly. Was that a curb stomp? Right?
Nah, he
No, it was
fucking
a knee. It was a
he
knee.
flying kneed him and fucking shattered his nose all over his face.
Ugh.
That
I
was
remember that.
yeah, that
I
was a
remember
rough
seeing
one.
pictures.
I don't know, Seth Rollins hurt a lot of people when he first started.
It did.
Like,
But he wasn't green either, is the thing.
nah, he was just
He'd been in the
careless.
Indies for years.
He was just being careless, I think. I think he was just caught up in the hype of being on the big stage the way he was, and fucking
Probably.
just got a little loose. Is what it was, I think.
Yeah. That brings me to another point. Roman Reigns.
Ugh, Jesus Christ.
I don't hate him for the reason everybody else does. I don't hate him because he got a push. Remember, he maybe shouldn't have, or he's getting billing over other people or whatever. I don't like him. I don't like him because he never impressed me technically.
No,
I
he's
don't.
real.
He always felt generic.
Right, that was what I always thought too. And like the sad thing is, he shouldn't be. He's part of the Fatu family. He should be
Right.
like he gonna have to pick it up. He got a big legacy to uphold.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know.
He never impressed me. I
Right,
don't know what it was. Because if he'd have been technically and athletically impressive, I'd have
wouldn't.
probably been like, yeah, he's all right, he's good.
He's got the
But
look, you know.
he has the look. He has the WWE
Like right,
headliner look.
he's got the Samoan and the tattoos and the long hair and he's built
And
like
the
he's
beefcake.
right. He's just got the look. He just doesn't have the important part down yet.
Which, I mean, I could be dead wrong. I don't know as much as I like to think that I do, I guess. But I just not know what impresses me and what doesn't.
Right.
And I'm not really a big fan of like big guys. You know what I mean?
Me either. And a lot of people shit on the little guys because they call them, they just, say that high spots are all they can do and blah blah blah. But I've seen some small guys that can fucking wrestle.
Right.
Like Kurt Angle was not that
Kurt
big
Angle.
of a dude. He was strong, but he was not that big of a dude. But that dude is impressive as far as a technical standpoint goes. If you watch his matches, like he is
William Regal
on point.
He wasn't that big,
but always on point.
Oh, absolutely. Another one of my favorites I forgot to mention was Eddie Guerrero.
Yeah, he was a small guy that could fucking throw down.
Right.
But
he was
trained luchador too, so that helps a lot.
Right. Which is a completely different style, and I don't know, it's exciting to watch.
Right. That was the thing too. Like before the cruiserweights and the luchadors and everything started getting really big, all you really had in the States was these big fucking huge men beating the hell out of each other. Like that was all you really had, because there was no real exposure to it. I don't guess. Like it didn't really have any traction as far as in the States goes. And then some things changed and people started seeing these guys and they were like, well, that's fucking, that's awesome comparatively. Because, these dudes are running around the ring at 1,000 miles an hour sometimes,
Yeah.
They're like, I don't know.
I mean, I'm going back to like the high spots. The high spots are what you remember. You know what I mean?
Right. They're the ones that really drop your jaw.
Right.
I don't know. It was always impressive to me to see these guys run around the ring as fast as they do and still be on point, not
Right.
fucking
And still have that.
not fucking hurt each other, and they're throwing each other
Right.
around at 1,000 miles an hour. Sometimes looks like a fucking Dragon Ball Z fight. They're just fucking bouncing
Right.
around, and that was always impressive to me how they could chain moves together with each other so quick and so.
Right.
And that goes a long way as far as technical ability goes too, because that's just being able to know your holds and know your throws and read your opponent and know which way their body's gonna move and stuff. Like that's a big technical thing. I will say.
So who do you go ahead?
I will say, for the most part, as far as the modern-ish wrestling, like after 2000, most of the really impressive guys came from outside of the WWE. At least in my opinion.
Yeah. Maybe up until like 2005, 2006.
Right after TNA lost their asses and went crazy.
Yeah.
Because like TNA when they first started, because this is really weird, I had no idea they were a thing until we were scrolling through channels at one point, and Spike TV was right before Nickelodeon, and it stopped on Spike TV, and they were on, and we were like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Right.
And they had a whole division devoted to it, and that was...
Yeah, the 6-sided ring and...
just these dudes... Like, they had some big dudes. You have to have some big dudes. I mean, it's wrestling. That's just what it is.
But even their big dudes weren't impressive
huge.
as fuck. Like Abyss.
Right. They weren't massive, but they were big enough that they were dangerous and they could fucking work.
They filled the big guy role.
Right.
Still. Yeah.
But they could work with the small guys and keep up.
Right.
And that was a big thing, was being able to keep up.
What were those... See, now that you said that, I'm trying to think. What were those guys' names? That were... I don't know, we watched a little bit of them on something. They were really big and they could move like a motherfucker.
The Viking Raiders.
Yeah.
War Machine.
What were their names? War Machine.
Yeah.
What did we watch them on?
Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor. That was it.
Yeah, they're really fucking good, and WWE's ran them into the ground, of course.
Yeah, well...
Because them big old boys were doing moonsaults and shit. They can move.
I mean, they were probably the most impressive I've ever seen. Honestly, like especially the most surprising.
Right.
Because them motherfuckers could move it.
Especially the big redheaded dude to be, 320 plus and doing what he did was insane to me. Like, this dude's doing dives over the top rope, flat-footed and shit. That's crazy.
And not hurting anybody.
And not hurting himself either.
Yeah.
And that was cool for me too, because that was the first time we'd really seen anything like that, because you might get a high spot out of a big guy or once in a while. You got him out of Undertaker and Kane sometimes, but as far as like big spots that really blow your mind, they were the first that I really remember doing crazy shit like that.
We saw the Young Bucks on there too for the first time, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, we probably saw the Young Bucks the first time jobbing in WWE and TNA, I would say.
Yeah.
But their first actual wrestling was in Ring of Honor when we watched it, because they're really good too.
Right. Those guys are super talented.
They really are.
And entertaining. That's the main thing. They were fun to watch.
Right. They really got into the entertainment side of it. Like they knew how to stop a match but carry a match at the same time, so to speak.
Right.
Like, they could stop a match, do some funny shit, and still be beating on their opponents and stuff, and it never feel like a beat was missed.
Right.
From bell.
They really impressed me.
Right. They work from bell to bell, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And like a lot of cool things came out of that, and I like that. Like the super kick parties, those were always fun. That kind of stuff was always fun.
Yeah, it was just fun. It was entertaining.
Because, I mean, on the whole, that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be entertainment. Nobody takes that shit seriously. You're not supposed to. You can't. That
Right.
ruins it
If
if
you
you
take
try
it
to
too
take.
seriously, you just ruin it for yourself.
Right. So you got to kind of suspend your disbelief a little bit and just kind of take it as a fun thing. And I always enjoyed it. I still go back sometimes and, watch some of it and be like, damn, that's really cool. Or, go back
Right.
and watch some things and just fucking laugh and have, just memories.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, getting away from WWE, TNA really surprised me at first because they were
It was so good at first.
right. Like, they had so many people. At one point they had Kurt Angle, Sting, Macho Man,
Yeah.
RVD, Rhino, Raven, like all
Christian.
these Christian. Christian was huge. Scott Steiner,
Right.
Kevin Nash, like
Yeah, he was in there, wasn't he? I forgot about that.
when they first started, they had this huge WWE competitive roster. Like they competed, and I thought that what they did back then was insane. And you had guys
Yeah.
like Petey Williams, who was the first guy I ever saw do the flip pile driver, which I thought was
Right.
fucking insane. That was the craziest move I'd ever seen in my
That's
entire life up to that point.
right. That was so cool.
And so scary every time.
Yeah.
So scary every time.
Yeah.
And that goes down to a technical standpoint too. Like, you really got to know your shit to do some stuff like that.
Right.
Both people involved, and there's a lot of trust there, because one wrong little fucking 1 millimeter down or up could really change things,
Right.
And I don't know, a lot of really cool guys came out of that, like Samoa Joe and AJ Styles, like we talked about earlier.
Right. Samoa Joe is one of my favorites.
Mine too.
He's
he could walk down to a ring and beat the holy high hell out of somebody and make it look believable.
he was another big guy that could move.
Right. And I always thought it was so cool, his entrance with the fucking other Samoan dudes beating on the big giant drums and shit.
Yeah.
And him doing hakas on the entrance ramp and stuff. That was always so fucking cool. His entrance was always a good one.
I don't know. I think I like TNA so much because it wasn't WWE.
I think that's what it was, because at that time we had watched WWE for a little while, and I think they had moved away from things that we were enjoying, and we kind of just drifted off from there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because even TNA even had the Dudleys, and
right,
and eventually Jeff Hardy, because he came in, and God love him, he did a lot, but then he did a whole lot of bad in that place.
Yeah,
he about ruined his fucking career in that place.
I think he did ruin his career in that place. I think that was pretty much the nail in the coffin.
I mean, yeah, when you show up to the biggest event of your promotion's year
against Sting,
of all people, Sting, a 20+ year veteran at that point, he was he is immediately distinguishable. He's like a pop culture icon. If you're talking about wrestling, you've got the handlebar mustache of Hulk Hogan. You've got the black and white face paint of Sting. Those are two of the things that you automatically see.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's just what it is. And you can't show up to a show so fucked up that you can't wrestle Sting. That he literally stops your match. Main event match, world championship match. That's the bad thing. That was the worst thing about it, man.
Right.
Main
event at their biggest show of the year.
For their world championship. And it lasted a minute 48.
So fucked.
And Sting, if you see the video, if you haven't watched the video and you're a wrestling fan, you need to go look it up. It's Victory Road, I think, or Bound for Glory, one of the two. And it's Sting and Jeff Hardy for the world title. It's sad.
It's sad.
It's sad, to say the very least.
But I think that's what inspired him to get his shit together.
I think probably. I mean, I don't think he really had too much of a choice at that point, and he's still not all the way together,
Right.
but he's doing a lot better than he was then.
No. Well, I've seen some recent clips of his,
Oh,
and
it caught up
it's
to him.
oh yeah, it's time for him to retire. He ain't
Absolutely.
got much left.
Nah,
He don't move like he used to.
he was too rough on himself at early, you know,
Yeah.
because I don't know, he was a bad one because he really just didn't care. He would just throw himself
Right.
and I guess it's probably because he was so fucked up he just couldn't feel it probably. So he
Feel it.
didn't give a fuck to dive 30 feet off something onto his back onto
Right.
tables. He didn't give a fuck. He was making money.
Yeah, he should probably retire soon if
Right.
he's still even wrestling. I think he is.
He needs to train. Is what he needs to do. He needs to be a trainer. He needs to open a school and teach people how to wrestle the way he wrestled. Because don't get me wrong, when he was young, in his heyday, when they were young and fucking doing stuff, like his first world championship run in WWE, fucking awesome.
My earliest memory of wrestling.
I know exactly what you're about to say. Go ahead.
Him and Undertaker.
Yep.
I don't remember what the pay-per-view was, what the match was.
It was Raw.
I remember him jumping over a fucking ladder and landed on Undertaker, and then I think Undertaker won the match, and then held his hand up afterwards.
Yes, that's exactly. I knew exactly what you were gonna say before you said it, because that exact image flashed into my mind.
That's one of my earliest memories of wrestling.
And, you know, that really goes to show the influence that the Undertaker had, because if he can put you over and still beat you in a match, that's
right.
That's what that's the thing. He could do it. Like, he did the same thing. All he had to do was shake John Cena's hand, and that changed John Cena's entire career trajectory.
Right.
And I mean, up until that match with the Undertaker, Jeff Hardy was only a tag team wrestler, really. I mean,
right, mid-card at best.
Right, not long after that, he got the Intercontinental Championship, and then not long after that, the United States Championship, and then a few years down the road, the World Championship a couple of times.
Yeah.
I don't know. WWE has a really bad habit of taking really good people and ruining them, or taking people that you can see the latent potential in them, and then just kind of letting them sit.
Yeah.
Or constantly booking them to lose, or just stuff like that. Like Ricochet. Ricochet right now is probably one of the best in the game as far as a technical standpoint goes. He's so good. He's just good, and he's a Kentucky boy.
Yeah.
Can't help but
right.
But he was great in WWE for a minute, and now he just does. I mean, he's a jobber basically.
Right.
Like, if he could get out of there and go to like All Elite or something, he'd be a world championship contender without a doubt.
My big problem with All Elite is they can't book female wrestlers for shit.
Nah, man, they don't have a handle.
They don't know what to do. I mean, and WWE's in a really good spot in that respect right now.
Yeah, they are. They've got some of the best. I feel like they've got the best.
I mean, Charlotte Flair, she's just, her actual ability is really good.
It's ridiculous.
I always thought the Bellas were kind of overrated, but I've heard that people have said that they're really good.
I never really thought they were that great.
I don't never really remember watching much of them.
Yeah, they were at that weird point in WWE where the women were trying to get taken more seriously, but they were still getting, fucked by management. So it kind of, I don't know, that era's kind of iffy as far as women's wrestling go, because you had some of the really good women wrestling, but they were still treated, the way that they were always treated in WWE.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of All Elite's problem with women wrestlers is they just don't have that many good ones.
Probably.
Because, like, TNA, they could book the fuck out of some women's wrestling.
right? And I feel like TNA definitely took women's wrestling more seriously than
Absolutely.
WWE did at the time.
Absolutely. And I mean, you had people like ODB and Gail Kim and all these
Yeah,
female wrestlers that were really, really good in the ring that could hold their own, you know? And
yeah,
but you gotta give WWE credit. I mean, they let women the main event WrestleMania not long ago. Like that's
yeah.
fucking insane to me.
That's crazy. It's
Come a,
awesome though.
come a long way from getting their clothes ripped off in gimmick
Right,
matches,
brawl and panty matches.
right? Up to fucking
Fucking.
main event and the most important event in the fucking business, which is
That's a lot of pressure.
that is a lot of pressure, man. Can you imagine?
Fuck, man.
So I
I
think the
don't know.
largest, I think the largest WWE crowd is over 100,000 people. Can you imagine?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Can you imagine being in front of that many people?
No.
Like that was always the thing to me too. That's what drew me to it, to wanting to do it, because like everybody sees it and they're like, "Damn, man, I want to do that." Like that's just part of it, just
Right.
because it looks so cool. But that was the thing. Like there were some times in some of the places, especially in the older stuff, whenever it was really, really popular, where you could feel the
Yeah.
electricity through the TV. Like
Right.
like being in awe of a crowd pop is insane to me. Because and like the biggest one I remember recently was when the Hardys returned, because like
Oh yeah.
me and you
That was one
jumped
of the biggest pops ever.
right, we jumped off the couch when that happened. That was the fucking coolest shit for us.
Right.
And then that one ended in such a horrible fashion that we turned it off and didn't finish it. But well,
Yeah.
the event
Didn't that happened, didn't it?
the event happened. That was the year that Roman retired, quote unquote, Undertaker.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And we got to the end of that match and didn't even finish the event. We were like, yeah, okay, that's enough of that. Fuck
yeah.
that. What is one of your top moments that stands out as far as wrestling goes in your mind?
Hmm.
Because one of the biggest ones for me is when Shawn Michaels retired Ric Flair.
That's a big one.
Because the end of that match was fucking gorgeous. It was beautifully done. It was so sad,
Yeah.
so somber, and it just worked perfectly.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't know, I'm having trouble. Yeah.
I don't know, anything that I don't know. It just that one's one that really stuck out in my mind, just because of the way the gravity of the feeling of the whole thing. That was always cool to
Right.
me. Um,
Hmm.
I don't know. I was always amazed Kane's debut when he came up out of the ring. That stands out to me because that was the
Yeah.
first time I'd ever seen any shit like that. He ripped the fucking ring
Right.
open and just crawled out of it. That was cool. You know.
Yeah.
Stone
Yeah.
Stone Cold, and Mike Tyson. That one stands out to me.
Yeah. Fucking Mike Tyson. I heard an interview somewhere. I don't remember where it was, but Stone Cold was talking about Mike Tyson and all that shit back then. He said Mike Tyson knew more about wrestling than he did.
Yeah, that's crazy.
He said Mike Tyson was like a super fan.
That's pretty cool. Doesn't surprise me though.
Me either. I mean, that's pretty cool though.
Yeah.
As far as things that stand out, man, I'm having real trouble with this.
Mankind coming off the top of the Hell in the Cell.
Yeah, that's one of those oh fuck moments.
That's like a time standstill moment for a second.
Yeah.
Undertaker, I heard him talk about it. He said that was an out of body experience. Like he said he saw himself standing on top of the ring or on top of the cage and Mankind falling, at the same time. You know, like he said that was the
Fuck,
first time he had ever had an out of body experience in his life. And that's,
I believe it.
I mean, you just pushed a man 30 feet down.
Right.
Like there's no guarantee he's
There's,
gonna stand back up after that.
right. There's no good way to take that big of a fucking
Nah.
hit.
And like it probably wouldn't have been so bad if he didn't miss the announce table.
Right.
But he caught the very
Well, then
edge of it.
they went through the fucking cell.
And
That wasn't. I don't even think that was supposed to happen.
no, it wasn't. It buckled underneath him, and it actually
Yeah.
broke Undertaker's foot.
Yeah.
And like it fucked. I mean, Mankind separated his shoulder whenever he hit the ground off the top.
Yeah.
Like that match was a disaster. As historic as it is, and as much as it's
Oh, yeah.
remembered, even if you hear Mankind or Undertaker talk about it, it was a total disaster from start to finish. Like it didn't go anywhere of the way it was supposed to, like at all. Like even
I think.
one of the interviews with Undertaker, they showed him the fucking video of it, and he pointed it out as soon as they stepped on the top. He's like, "Yep, look right there. It started to buckle underneath us before we even started doing anything."
Fuck.
Like you
I
know
think
that,
the first Elimination Chamber was a big moment for me
yeah.
because it was just so unique and fresh.
That was that was the thing too. That was one of the first storylines we ever really started, like we ever followed start to finish. You know?
Yeah. Because they had like the qualifier matches for them and shit.
Right. And like you had the Shawn Michaels Triple H thing still going on.
Right.
And like that was one of the big selling points. And then, you know, you had Chris Jericho in there and Randy Orton in there, and you know, some of the now greatest greatest ones, you know, like they were part of that.
Yeah.
And that
So I have another train of thought whenever we get done with this one.
go ahead.
So who do you think, in your opinion, are some of the most overrated and underrated wrestlers?
Overrated without a doubt, Hulk Hogan, number 1, 100%.
See, my overrated is Chris Jericho.
Really? See, I think Chris
Yeah.
Jericho's a fucking technical genius when it comes to wrestling.
I don't know. I feel like he's good. He's really good, but I don't know. I'm putting him in the same threshold as like some of the other greats. I just don't feel like he adds up as much as people think he does.
I can understand that because I don't think he does either. As far as I don't know, because they put him over. I mean, they had Stone Cold and The Rock put that man over in the same night. You know,
Right.
like there was something there. I just don't really know what it was. Like, I never liked his personas. Is the thing. That's why I was never a fan of his. Because even when he was a face, he was still shitty. You know.
Right.
Like I just didn't. It never worked for me.
Underrated, I would have to say Kofi Kingston.
Absolutely.
And he's one of the most underrated, I think. People forget about him pretty quickly, I feel like he'll get I think he had a good world heavyweight title push.
Yeah, he held it for
a
few
couple
months.
years back.
No, it was last year or year before last. Yeah, 2019.
And then people just kind of forget about him, but I think
he's always been impressive.
Right.
And like consistent was the thing with him. Like
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He's always good.
Right. Every time he came to the ring, he did something that was impressive.
Right.
I don't know.
I'm trying to think of like some classics that I think are overrated.
I might make some people upset about it, but the Road Warriors for me, I always thought they were overrated.
I agree. Never really understood
the appeal of the Road Warriors. I
Right.
guess
Like I was just
I feel like
just seemed like another couple voided out dudes.
right. That was my thing too. Like I never really. I mean, I thought it was cool. The whole, the fucking the spikes
Their
and the mad
look.
right the Mad
Yeah.
Max feel to them and whatever and the recklessness. It was cool on the surface, but once they got in the ring, I was kind of meh on them
Yeah.
because that's another one of those they didn't really bring anything as far as technical ability went, at least not in my eyes.
I got a super underrated one that might even surprise you.
Who dat?
The Boogeyman.
Yeah, he could play a character better than a lot of people. Like
Right.
how good you got to be to carry that character the way he did.
Right. He carried it damn near perfectly. Like he didn't.
I
There's
mean,
really no.
like I don't know that anybody else could have carried a character like that.
Right.
Not to that extreme, anyway. Like this man's actually eating worms and shit.
Right.
Like that is.
Yeah. Hang on a second.
Um, to avoid dead air again because technical difficulties and whatnot. I will eventually get better at this. I promise. I'll eventually not have so many mess ups. But thanks everybody that's listened to everything that I've got out so far. Thanks to everybody that shares and likes and all that good stuff. Special thanks to the P Stick Ramblers again for coming on episode 2. I got an update about them. Their recording's going well. It's almost done. They're going to come back whenever it gets done. We'll talk to them again. Have a good time with them. Like we said last time, every next episode will be better. We're getting better by the day. But overall, the big thing is I want to express my gratitude to you guys again because it's an awesome feeling to do this and put it out there and there be a reception to it at all, being one way or the other. And mostly I've only gotten positive feedback, which is awesome. Greatly appreciate that. We're gonna keep working toward, like I said, every one will be better. Every next one will be better. Make sure you check us out on YouTube. You can get us on Spotify. If you go to my Anchor app or my Anchor link, which I share on the social medias and whatnot all the time, there is also ways you can directly support us, which don't ever feel obliged to do so, but if you ever feel like you want to, you can do it
Right.
there. That'll
We don't need that much support.
nah, we pretty much got this handled. But like I said again, thanks everybody for giving us all the support that you have and all the positive feedback and whatnot. Like I said, it really I don't know, I really appreciate it because this is something that I really enjoy doing, and it being received the way it has is a really good feeling. So I greatly appreciate that.
Me too. I like doing something constructive.
Right? It's nice to put a little bit of
Even
positive
if it is just get down here and bullshitting.
for 2 hours, Which, I mean,
Right.
let's be honest, we do this any other time anyway. So, at least
We're just recording it now.
right, we're just adding a few steps in to make it a little bit more difficult. That's all it is.
Yeah.
But, that's okay. I don't know. Things will I don't know, I've said it 3 times already. Next one will always be better. We're going
That's right.
we're getting our sea legs, so to speak, now. We're starting to get into it and starting to figure things out, and I'm starting to learn how to do things on the fly and that kind of thing, which, helps a lot. We got some good things coming up, I think. Got a few different ideas. some at least a few more serious topics probably, because I feel like that's I've kind of strayed away from going into serious places, but I feel like that's I have some sort of responsibility. We have some sort of responsibility to at least start conversations on things, because that's where responsibility on the hand of the creator comes in. Um, but yeah, we're doing good things. I hope. We hope you. We. I hope you've enjoyed it thus far. Anyway,
I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it immensely. It's been a good time. Um,
It has.
I don't know. This one was. This one was fun so far. Uh, I always really enjoyed professional wrestling as far as something to kind of consume without having to really think about. That was the big thing for me. And
Yeah.
then I started learning the technical aspects of it, and then I could consume it for how things were done, being able to analyze it, sort of.
Right.
Because I mean, that was what it really ended up being after a while. Is we would sit on the couch and watch these episodes and point things out as to how they did what they did, and how things happened, and that I always enjoyed that. And I don't know. I guess it's just where it's connected to memory for us, where we've
Yeah.
where it was
Real nostalgic.
right, where it was an enjoyable time for us whenever we were young. Now we see it and we're like, yeah, this is awesome. I'll forever be a professional wrestling fan. I don't care to admit it. It is what it is. I
Right.
catch a lot of
No, like we said, you can't take it too seriously.
right. That's my
Because at
thing.
its heart, it is just entertainment.
Yeah, there's nothing. It's just like watching a TV show, man. There's just a lot more half naked dudes, and in some cases a lot less. It just depends on the show you're watching, I guess. Um,
Right. Fuck's sake.
I don't know. It was yeah, like I said, it was always a really nice disconnect for a while. For that 2 hours a night that you were sitting there watching it or whatever. Because
Right.
Monday nights were one of the few nights we got to stay up late to watch it, because that was the thing.
Right.
We would go over to the old man and Mammy's house, and fucking we would sit in the living room and watch it. And Mom
Yeah.
hated it. Mom hated it with a
Yeah.
passion because she let us stay up
Oh,
so late.
absolutely.
But we always did. It was always a blast. I don't know.
But
I wish wrestling would go a different way. As far as I wish some of the booking was better, whatever, But as far as that goes, I like I said, I'll always be a lifelong fan. It'll never change.
I kind of like where wrestling is right now, mainly in the aspect of like it's how it interacts with the public
Right.
and
It's
like
it's becoming
I
very
don't know.
self-aware.
Yeah, and I can get behind that to an extent, honestly.
Me too. Because I mean, there comes a point where you kind of have to play into the hate and the bullshit about it, because that's sometimes the loudest voice.
Right.
So when you interact with that the right way, it changes things. I don't know, but yeah, I really enjoyed
I think
this
we've
one.
been.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I like stuff like this. Um,
Yeah, me too. I think we've been rambling long enough though.
yeah, I think so too. We kind of, once again, directionless. We kind of started off in a spot, and then we just kind of ended up random. You know,
That's how my mind works.
mine
I don't
too.
know.
Yeah, you guys all get to go along for the ride. Um, so sometimes we'll get off on a tangent. You can rest assured that eventually we'll get back to the original subject at hand, but it might take a minute.
Right.
But guys, I guess we'll probably wrap that up here. Wrap this up here. Yeah.
There you go. Words.
Words are hard sometimes. But once again, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks for listening to this one. If you do,
That's right.
you guys check us out. Tell your friends. Stay safe. Stay healthy.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask. I don't know why. I don't know why we have to have this conversation, but please wear a mask. I'm tired of being stuck at home. I want to be able to go do things with people. I'm done.
Right.
I'm done. There are no more video games to play. There's no more TV to watch.
Fuck's sake.
I'm done. I'm ready to get out. Wear a goddamn mask. It ain't asking for much. Fucking change your life for 10 seconds and wear a goddamn mask, please. Save somebody else's life. Get us the fuck out of this house. Get my kids back in school before I lose my mind.
Right. Fuck's
Jesus.
sake, man.
Take care of each other. Everybody take care of each other. Be good to each other. Don't be an asshole. I think we said this last time. Don't be an
That's
asshole.
right. That's the tagline.
That's
Don't be an asshole.
That's the sign off. And with that, once again, I'm Greg, my co-host Tommy. This is the Country Fried Nerds, and remember, don't be an asshole.
Yeah, I like it.